I didn't start the recording. It's 7 minutes after the hour. It's Thursday, August 29th, 2019, 59 degrees outside. There you are. Now we're rocking and rolling.
There you go.
1,400 downloads, and I don't even start the recording. I don't know, Shane. What's going on? Dumb as a post. I don't know, man. It's well, let's get to the weather because we're getting today. We're having increasing clouds, high near 81 today. And there is a chance of rain and thunderstorms this afternoon before 4 o'clock, and a slight chance of rain between 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. So mostly cloudy, then gradually becoming clear. Chance of precip tonight's 50%, so we'll get a little rain, but the weekend looks pretty good. Friday, we do have a 40% chance of rain and showers, thunderstorms after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but mostly sunny with a high near 80. And Friday night, 40% chance of showers again and thunderstorms before 1 a.m., mostly clear, and low of around 51. And then on Saturday, sunny with a high near 84. Saturday night, mostly clear, low of 54. Sunday, sunny with a high of 88, and Sunday night mostly clear with a low around 54, and then Labor Day, sunny with a high of 85. They took the rain out of Labor Day, so that's pretty good. So you'll have 3 days of 80-degree weather, pretty nice weekend for Labor Day. Shane and I will not be here on Monday. They'll present you with some other quality entertainment, I'm sure. So. Whatever there is available, you'll get that. So, and yeah, it's gonna be pretty nice. Tuesday, showers return, sunny with a high of 81, and then Tuesday night rain again, low around 52. So, but for your Labor Day weekend, it looks pretty doggone good. So that should be nice for you. Temperatures around the area right now, Livingston is 52 degrees, Manhattan's 51, Three Forks is 49, Gallup Gateway is 55, Ennis is 49, Big Sky 49, at the airport in Belgrade it's 53 degrees, and we're right at 57 degrees here in downtown Bozeman at 10 minutes after the hour. So there's your weather, if you want it. And don't forget, if you want it. If you don't want it, well, it's fine too.
Water, you're making me laugh. I gotta get water.
Okay, get some water. Well, this day in history, we're kind of confused today because the site we usually go to for this day in history has no history today other than a couple of things. It's got on this date in 1991, the Supreme Soviet, the Parliament of the USSR, suspended all activities of the Communist Party, bringing an end to the institution. And the other interesting thing was that Ingrid Bergman died on this date, but she was also born on this date. So she died on her birthday. So born in 1915, died in 1982.
Yeah, one of the most beautiful foreign actresses ever to come to Hollywood. She was just, wow, was she good looking?
Yeah, she was a hot babe. Yes, she was. Yeah.
Yeah, the camera loved her, and she just had a talent and that accent.
Oh yeah,
gosh.
yeah. Yeah.
If you went out just to get popcorn, you could still hear her and go, "Oh my God, that's her."
Yeah. Her and Humphrey Bogart were a team for a while. Couple movies. Time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Did pretty well. Well, tell us about John Baptiste Colbert, if you have to.
Well, he's sort of important to American history. 29 August 1619, 6th of September 1683. And under King Louis XIV, he was minister of France from 1661 to 1683. And the reason he was important is that he provided a lot of funding and convinced the king to provide funding to traders and shippers in American colonies. The British allowed to fund shipping in the American colonies if it came to England, right? If they shipped stuff to England. But they didn't want him shipping and trading with anyone else. So Colbert was one of the guys involved in the French East Indian Company and public works in Paris, and putting in things such as sewage and water in Paris, which at the time, the cities of Europe were the big developing things that were of importance. And he protected the French market of glass because the Venetian glass had become so popular in such a short period of time in the 16th century. So there you go.
Well, okay. Good for him.
Yeah.
What about John Locke, the English philosopher?
Yeah, this guy sort of made a difference. It's 1632 to 1704. So, you're coming into the 1700s. England is created, the UK in 1707, the UK. Up until that point, it was sort of a group of different countries dominated by the king. And he was part of the beginning of the Enlightenment thinkers, and is given the credit for father of liberalism, but not as you would think. Okay, with liberalism in that the separation of state and man. And his liberal thinking changed everything and was pretty much the basis of Jefferson's Declaration of Independence, because he, had quite the library, including all of Locke's writings. And, self-identity, self-responsibility were the basis of most of his philosophy. So in the context of before there was capitalism, there was the liberal thought of freedom.
Okay. Good for them. Good for him, I should say. Well, on August 29th, this day in 1944, 15,000 American troops of the 28th Infantry Division marched down the Champs-Élysées in whatever that place is in Paris with the Main Street in Paris, as the French capital continued to celebrate its liberation from the Nazis. About a year before the war ended, it was the downward slide of Adolf Hitler. Yeah,
under the Arc de Triomphe that was built by Napoleon. Yeah, and continued on to the Eiffel Tower. So it was a big day, and of course we all know who took the biggest bow, which was de Gaulle. Right, and with the Free French, and but it was a huge accomplishment. I mean, when you realize in less than basically 3 years, right? The United States military went from 400,000 men enlisted to 12 million. Not to mention everything else they did. I mean, all the planes they built, bullets and
boats
tanks,
and
boats.
Everything.
The numbers are just staggering, and it was pretty cool. And the logistics and keeping it organized. Wow.
Oh yeah, World War is not very easy.
No. Especially, excuse the expression, the back end of it, getting everything there, the food, the equipment. That's
all of that. Yeah. All right. Well, in 1814, during the War of 1812, why is it called the War of 1812 if this happened in 1814? I don't know. Alexandria, Virginia formally surrendered to the British military forces, which occupied the city until September 3rd. So.
Well, the big turn was that, of course, Andrew Jackson in the Battle of New Orleans. This was again because of shipping, piracy at sea that the British used to invade the United States, and the concern that the United States was thinking of maybe invading Canada. So anyway, long story short, some British yellow journalism got them to re-enter the American continent, and although they burned Washington, which was pretty sad, they got their little heinies kicked a second time.
Well, I guess so. Yeah. Let's take a break because we've got to take care of our farmers and ranchers and folks out there that are desperately wanting to know the news in agriculture. So. If you want to restart your computer, Shane, now's the time to do it.
I'm going to do it right now, buddy.
All right. We'll be right back with more right after news and agriculture and some Progressive insurance info. 22 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m. It's Thursday, August 29, 2019, 58 degrees outside, and we're looking for a high in the 80s today. Shane Taubman finally moving as a human being. I can see him moving around now. He's there. Tom Migueloff, your morning mayor, and this is the KMMS Morning Soapbox. We're doing this day in history. 1862, rather, the Bureau of Engraving and Printing began operations at the United States Treasury. So that was quite a coup because, up until, the Federal Reserve started in the 30s, we had about 30,000 different currencies in the United States.
and coins, like everyone.
And coins, yeah, that blacksmiths would make them and all kinds of things. And cities had their own currencies used in cities. You'd come in and bring your gold in and trade it for money that you could use in town, and right. They had. Even some stores had their own currency.
That's
some
correct.
Businesses had their own currency. So we really needed something to kind of put this all in one spot. So the Bureau of Engraving started, and then eventually, of course, in the 1930s, when the Federal Reserve came along, we had a way of processing money and making money consistent and putting faith into the dollar and the gold and all of that stuff. So.
Okay.
In 1877, second president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Brigham Young, died in Salt Lake City at the age of 76.
Yeah, there you go. What a guy.
Yeah. He succeeded John Smith, I guess, right?
John,
I think.
yes,
yeah, John
right.
Smith was the original guy there. And in 1957, the Senate gave final congressional approval to a Civil Rights Act after South Carolina Senator Strom Thurmond, then a Democrat, ended a filibuster that had lasted for 24 hours. Strom Thurmond eventually becoming a Republican years later. He and Jesse Helms, big racists at the time.
I was just going to say.
I go say they... Yeah, they were a couple of bad guys, along with Robert Byrd.
Yeah,
So,
Senator Byrd from Virginia. They were the last standout of the KKK in the Congress, and the belief of Southern dominance, and there was still the desire to segregate and separate from the United States. They really were bad.
Yeah. Well, in 1958, pop superstar Michael Jackson was born in, of all places, Gary, Indiana, outside of Chicago. That's where everybody in Chicago goes to buy their guns, and at Gary, Indiana, across the border. So, but Michael Jackson, sad story, talented guy beyond belief, but just his mindset and family, dysfunctional family, just led to his downfall, and it was really sad. So.
It really was, because it's one of these cases of childhood that was so, as you say, dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm.
Yet he rose to the top of an industry where he basically will be known forever.
Mm-hmm.
And one day be a classic. He'll be the Bach of that century.
Mm-hmm.
And regrettably, like so many others on your list, fell to overdosing, on drugs, and that's very sad. Very sad.
Well, you can put Michael Jackson in there, Elvis Presley.
Beatles.
There's just a whole raft of folks that, Jimi Hendrix be another one that just, way before their time, and so much talent, gone too early. I can't imagine what they'd be producing today if they, had all survived. I don't know about Elvis. He'd be pretty old, but...
Well, you and I remember them starting out as the Jackson 5, and he was like 12 years old and could just steal the stage and sing a song like a 50-year-old crooner from Hollywood. It was incredible.
Oh, yeah. No, he was definitely a certified talent for sure.
And if it wasn't for him, the modern MTV, station network wouldn't exist. He was the first one to create a movie-like video, for
Thriller.
his
Yeah.
Thriller, and he started an entire industry on his own.
Oh yeah. Well, in this date, 1965, Gemini 5, carrying astronauts Gordon Cooper and Charles Pete Conrad, spliced down in the Atlantic after 8 days in space, the forerunner of going to the moon in 1969. So,
Can you imagine spending that kind of time, 8 days in space, sweating with 3 other guys in that amount of space?
Yeah.
Ew. They had to have. Well, they had an air filter for the air, so I'm sure it tried to work. Oh wow, that. I don't want to see you guys for a couple of weeks.
I was going to say,
too much information about, just too much information.
I'm not even going to go there about the bodily waste, but
yeah, exactly.
That's a whole nother. And weightlessness. I don't know where that stuff goes, but
yeah, exactly.
how you handle it.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm going to say, better eat protein for a month.
Ooh, not necessarily.
Well, in 1966, the Beatles concluded their 4th American tour with their last public concert held at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. And, of course, they were history for a number of years. Didn't last all that long, but made history while they were here. And
and 400 years from now, God allowing, they'll be looked back on again as the great musicians of this. I was
gonna say they'll be the Beethoven and Bach of their time. So
and once again, it made a difference because they changed the musical.
Oh, they did
concept and made movies that were incredible.
Yeah, they were. All right, we've got to duck out here, pay a couple bills, and do some other things. Montana State News is coming up on Fox News, and, Brooke Foster's back with the weather, so we're happy about that. And we'll be right back right after this. Stay tuned. 24 minutes for the top of the hour. We're in the midst of this day in history. Coming up at 7 o'clock, we'll be talking about new revised numbers for jobs in the United States that Forbes has put out. So we'll be talking about that in the 7 o'clock hour. So stay tuned for that. And right now, on this date in 1972, swimmer Mark Spitz of the United States won the 3rd of his 7th gold medals at the Munich Olympics, finishing first in the 200-meter freestyle.
Wow. How cool is that?
And then, what's his name, came along and broke that one quite a bit.
Bigfoot? You mean Bigfoot?
Yeah, Bigfoot, yeah. We can't even remember his name, so I don't care. 1982, we talked about Ingrid Bergman dying on her birthday, and 67 years old. 1996, the Democratic National Convention in Chicago nominated Al Gore for a second term as vice president. Earlier in the day, President Bill Clinton's chief political strategist, Dick Morris, resigned amid a scandal over his relationship with a prostitute. And we all remember that, of course. What a surprise. The oak doesn't, or the acorn doesn't fall far from the tree, does it?
Not from the political manager's tree, yeah.
I was going to say, Bill Clinton and Dick Morris, and Morris still went on to write books and still appears on TV every now and then, but he's kind of been swept away to the wherever, the dustbin of history. Again.
There you go.
Yes, maybe I'll get away with saying that. Well, in 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit the Gulf Coast near Louisiana. Well, it hit Louisiana, actually, bringing floods that devastated New Orleans. More than 1,800 people in the region died. And the 9th District there was underwater, and levees failed, and a lot of problems there.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the Superdome, a lot of people would have been in trouble.
Yeah, it only took 8 days to get water to the Superdome, or 5 days, or something like that.
That was unbelievable.
That's pretty silly.
Once again, the failure of federal government. They have a whole agency called FEMA that couldn't do its job. Incredible. Yeah.
Well, thankfully they had Walmart, which
that's right,
which delivered a bunch of stuff, donated $20 million, and a bunch of other stuff to them and guaranteed jobs in other stores for anybody displaced in there and whatever.
Well, and the incompetence and dysfunction of Louisiana state government and the city government forced, President Bush to have the military go in, not even the National Guard, but the U.S. military to go in because they had the state was so completely confused and ill prepared. Anyway, long story short, it was the U.S. military that really saved the day and delivered all that water and everything and food to all those people. It was just staggering. It's a staggering event.
Well, on this date in 2008, John McCain picked Sarah Palin as the running mate. She'd been the governor of Alaska for less than 2 years, but she put a whole bunch of people in jail in Alaska. And her opponents that were corrupt and whatever. And also, she made a lot of good deals for Alaska. She did pretty well up there in her 2-year stint. And if they had let her go, and McCain got a little upset, I think, that she was stealing his thunder, he probably would have been elected if he had just said, "Hey, let Sarah run the show." And
well, she fulfilled her job as the second on the ticket, the vice presidential nominee.
Yeah.
Their role is to play the junkyard dog and go out and attack everyone. And she did it, baby, and got it done.
Yeah, she sure did. So, well, in local news, HRDC is finally, they're going to finally break ground on the affordable housing. The housing assessment said we need 6,340 new homes by 2025 for our growing population, another 6,000 people moving to town. And but they're going to put 12 homes in. There'll be 2-bedroom homes. They'll sell for roughly $217,000, and 3-bedroom homes will go for $243,000, and that's about 35% below market rates. Here locally, obviously, with the 300,000 and more homes that are out there.
That's right.
Yeah. So in the meantime, there are more than 200 families on the city's affordable homeowner wait list. So I'm not sure how you pick these people for affordable housing and what happens if they get a better job or get raises or whatever. And they're not qualifiers anymore. Do you come by and kick them out, or do you check their income or tax returns every year, or what do you do to make this fair for everybody? And how do you pick the 200 people? Is it families? Is it single people? Is it what? How do you do that? So
that's right. How do you establish something to be fair?
Yeah.
Of course, them telling you how they did it isn't going to, you're not going to find that out.
Yeah. Well, they're calling it Willow Springs, and it'll be different in that they'll remain affordable beyond the first round of home buyers. The nonprofit is able to hold on to those below market prices through a community land trust. So the land is not the issue there. So well, good for them if they can do it. So a recent city housing assessment stated Bozeman needs 6,340 homes, as I mentioned earlier. The Willow Springs homes will be available to those on the city's wait list who finished a HUD-certified homebuyer education course. So you got to take a course on money management and, your finances and all of that stuff. And so she said they'll be on the, at the groundbreaking anyway, they said that the list for 2 years has been finished. Two people, or in 2 years, they finished the homebuyer's education course. I don't know what I'm saying this morning, so just don't even go there. I don't know what's going on.
Keep going. It's just you and me, baby. Just you and me.
I'm totally clueless. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Good morning, Tom. Hey, Shane.
Good morning, good sir.
You're asking a bunch. This is Steve. You guys are asking a bunch of questions about about the affordable housing. My question is, who's paying for it?
Yeah.
And then you want to know what happens when an individual or a family somehow improves their position, where they may actually have to move out of there. My suggestion is you have a party that somebody actually, made an effort to get out of that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that everybody there wants to be there, but there's a propensity of those lower tier income situations to not improve very well.
Yeah,
that's my main point there.
Well, the other thing I was wondering about, do you move teachers and firefighters and policemen and city workers to the top of that list, because those are the people that we have to have, or not? Or is that unfair to other people? Yeah.
They've chosen their career path.
Yeah.
I don't think because you've chosen to work in the public sector that you should be given a stipend on where to live. I mean, there are people in this world that need a hand up, and those are the people I think we should be helping, not giving. So absolutely not. Just because you choose to work in the public sector, which is not generating any money at all.
Yeah,
right.
That's true. Yeah,
it's government money going to and you think, well, we're generating, we're generating income and we're spending it in the community. No, you're spending tax dollars.
Yeah, you're just recycling the money.
Yeah, you're not generating anything. I mean, there's a service being provided, and we're thankful for that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not just being disparaging against those jobs. I mean, they exist, but you got to call it what it is. I mean, an entrepreneur is generating income and employing people and so forth and so on. Yeah. So,
well, there's plenty of places in the United States that I can't afford to live, and if you can't afford to live here, then you may want to think about Manhattan or Three Forks or Big Timber or places where maybe it's more affordable or some other, some other state,
I think I was 35 when I first put down money on a house. Before that, I rented. I rented. Basically, I rented. I worked on ranches and stuff like that. I stayed in a trailer house, for God's sake. But that's the old-fashioned way of doing it. You just don't walk into a $300,000 house.
No, you don't. Yeah, that's just the down payment alone for $300,000 house. You got to have 70 grand down. Prices
from when I first purchased a house and now it's
off
more
the
than
charts.
doubled.
Yeah,
and I don't know how to address that. I mean, that's free. That's the free market.
It's a free market. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That if you want to live here and you can afford to live here, then you'll live here. That's what I'm saying. That for us to artificially create, it's like throwing oil in the ocean. It affects the ecosystem. You can't artificially, do this in any way that I can see where it's fair.
No, there's not enough to go around.
Yeah.
And, somebody's going to be left out.
Well, I can say if you got 200 people on a waiting list and you're going to put up 12 to 15 homes, I think, or something like that is what they're going to put up. I mean, there's a lot of people that are just.
But who is paying for it? Is it the taxpayers of Bozeman that's paying for it? Is it Gallatin County? Is it open space bonds? So I'm paying through that. Is it?
Yeah. It's there's a land trust. So I'm not sure who the land trust is from, but the land, I guess, is a donation or a land trust thing for them, and there's also a federal grant but it doesn't say. We've talked about that federal grant before, and I don't remember how much it is, but I think they're going to.
And so the contractors making a fair and reasonable profit because the workers do his wages?
That I have no idea. I assume it'll be put out to bid, and so I that can't tell you. Don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to get some. They're going to get some real awesome contractors bidding on.
I'm sure, yeah. Well, yeah, building a home that's going to sell in the 200,000 range is not going to make a contractor very much profit. That's for sure.
Well, it's not so much profit. It's and there isn't, but yeah, to be sure, and so you're going to have the bottom of the barrel bidding on that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You'll have new.
Make no mistakes about it.
Yeah,
you'll really have lousy contracts.
Everybody that's not working will bid on that probably. So, and they're not working for a reason. So.
All right. Well,
all right. Thanks for the call. All right. We'll be right back in 90 seconds. 9 minutes for the top of the hour. Let's go to the phones. 522 Talk is the number. Caller, you are on the air. What is up?
Hey, Tom, Shane, it's Chris Griffin. How are you?
How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. I just wanted to circle back on something you brought up about Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
He has the number 2 all-time greatest selling album with Thriller.
Right.
At least 35 million copies certified.
Mm-hmm.
The band that beats him is the Eagles' greatest hit.
Yeah.
From 75 through 71 through 75. And the number 3 album is the Eagles' Hotel California. So of original material, Jackson is number 1 original material, all-time greatest selling. And Tom, you referenced a bunch of musicians that died at a specific age. They
27.
are lovingly 27.
Yeah, 27 Club.
Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, blues master Robert Johnson, Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones, Ron Pigpen McKinnon of the Grateful Dead, the original keyboardist, and the list goes on and on. I just wanted to flush that out for you guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. We've mentioned them from time to time. Yeah, the 27 Club that seems like they reach their, they're introduced and work their way up in their early 20s, and then they become really famous around 25, and then they just kind of, I don't know, self-implode by 27. So,
yeah, I mean, there are many theories.
Yeah.
There are many theories about it because it's easy to assign drugs and alcohol to a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
But from the more I read about Janis Joplin and the more I read about Hendrix, I'm not saying they were murdered, and I'm not saying it was drugs or alcohol, but there were many, many social pressures on them at the time. I can't speak to Robert Johnson because that was well before my time, your time, and even Shane's time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, well,
anyway.
Yeah, there's no way to know for sure. Each one's an individual, and each one has their own individual challenges. So it's
See,
tough
I tend to think, sorry for interrupting, I apologize, Thomas. But I just want to throw this out, not as a conspiracy theorist or anything. What gets my goat and burns my butt is all these people had entourages, posses around them that, basically lived off them and the money they made. And none of those people took care of any of these people. And so everyone calls these suicides. Nah, I see it as murder. When you have all these people that are living on you off your money and around you all the time, and they enable you to do this and don't protect you, that's wrong. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just wrong.
Yeah.
Well, the only one, and you know what, Shane, I understand that and can respect that argument, but Brian Jones of the Rolling Stone is probably the one I'm most familiar with, which is why I'm reading about Janis Joplin right now.
Well, look at Keith Richards.
But Brian, I'm sorry?
Look at Keith Richards.
There's no reason there's no reason Keith Richards should be alive today. There's no reason at all.
Except that he found the Wonder Review. Go to Switzerland once a year and have all your blood replaced.
Yeah.
that has been disproved many, many, many times, and we keep perpetuating that myth that Keith had his blood replaced. That is a flat out mythology. But my point being is why at 27, and all these people had so much in front of them. What was it that caused them to explode? Because Brian was doing everything that Keith and Mick and Bill Wyman and Charlie Watts were doing at the time. But one final thought. If Keith Richards and Ruth Bader Ginsburg co-mingled their DNA, what would stop that child?
I don't know.
It wouldn't live.
Well, I guess, yeah.
Well, it seems that you can't kill Keith and you can't kill Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I think
apparently
that cow
not.
would live to be 1,000 years old.
Yeah,
I don't know. Pancreatic cancer is pretty much a death knell, buddy.
well, I don't know. She's beat it before, but yeah,
I realize that, but it's just radiation or not, it's a death knell.
Yeah. Well,
these
at
guys,
her
you have a
age,
great show.
yeah.
I'll catch up with you sometime in the future.
All right,
Cheers.
take it easy. All right, thanks for the call. All right, let's see. Getting back to our text line 478-8298. We're talking about affordable housing. You need to realize that our society and community has changed to a "what are you going to do for me today" attitude, and I would tend to agree with that somewhat. Let's see. From our text line, I respect police officers, don't get me wrong, but why is it that they're held in such higher regard than ex-combat soldiers? We were the ones that went out on a two-way firing range. Yeah, that would be true.
Yeah, not to segue, but I can't believe how that judge in Great Falls, went viral yesterday about sentencing those two drug dealers for claiming they were, veterans, and that was all over the internet. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And Michael Jackson was a pedophile that should have been charged with his crimes and seen the inside of a jail cell. And from the same texter, I hope Chris is having a nice life. We don't miss him at all. So sorry about that. Let's see. As a hurricane threatens, the stable genius says he's the best thing that's happened to Puerto Rico. 3,000 dead people disagree. I don't know if he says he's the best thing for Puerto Rico, but you have to admit that Puerto Rico turned out to be unbelievably corrupt with the money that was sent to them and all the stuff that we did to them or sent to them, I guess. And the thing that people don't realize is the reason it took a while to get there is that the ports were crammed full of debris, so you couldn't get a boat in there. Airports were trashed, so you couldn't get a plane in there. So, it took a while to clear a space to get relief to those people and to get their power back up and get people on the ground there.
And the vast number of billions sent to rebuild the island, particularly its grid, electric grid, just was corrupted away, which is why they went to the streets and got rid of the governor, because he was just corrupt. Yeah. I mean, and President Trump told everyone 2 years he was corrupt ago, right? Like he told everyone, guy's corrupt. I can't deal with this guy.
Well, your last caller was talking about choices of career paths. I would bet all 200 people on that waiting list, including myself as well, are where we are because of choices we've made. Well, and not in every case, but certainly, I've always made the case if you're poor all your life, you're not a very good money manager.
That's right.
I think,
Yes, that's right. You lack the knowledge of managing your life and having a managed lifestyle.
Yeah. So, well, that pretty well cleans up the text lines. I mentioned earlier when we come back, we want to talk about a new jobs report that's come out that we might be inflating the jobs by as many as 500,000. So we'll talk about that when we come back after the break at the top of the hour. No guest today, so it's open lines all day long. And the good news is that Gallatin County commissioners are going to start coming back. I hope we're going to have men at least tomorrow at the 8 o'clock hour. So by all means, check that out. And we hope they'll come back as regulars so we can keep up with what's going on in the county, what's going on in the city from Jeff Krause, and make you a little more informed as to both ends of that spectrum. So
there you go.
All right, we got to duck out of here, and we got Fox News at the top of the hour. We got Montana State News. We got Brooke Foster with the weather, and, of course, Tom and Shane. I want to thank everybody. We just went over 1,400 downloads of our shows, 1,400 downloads. Thank you so much for supporting us and for keeping an interest in the show, and we really appreciate it very much. So we'll be back right after this. Welcome back, everyone. It's 4 minutes after the hour of 7 a.m. It's Thursday, August 29th, 2019, 56 degrees outside. Shane Tobin on the line from me, from me.
From you, to you from Vancouver.
Is there only one more day left in this week? I've got to get out of here. I need a 3-day weekend really badly. I don't know what's going on here at all. Shane Tobin, half man, half amazing in Vancouver, British Columbia, in the wonderful country of Canada. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor, in the wonderful last best place on earth, Bozeman, Montana. And this is the KMMS Morning Show with Tom and Shane. And got some text line stuff coming in. Hey, guys, we're being invaded by Canadian geese, that is. We do have a lot of Canadian geese down here. They're on their way south, I guess, so they're checking in here at Bozeman and all the lakes and streams and everything. So
that's why people hunt them.
Yeah. Have you checked the rental prices in the outlying areas? They're not any better. Greed follows everything. Who's going to serve your coffee? Yeah, that's true. Rental prices have gone up quite a bit. And in fact, I don't think people put them in the paper anymore. I think they just go over to Craigslist and list them over there or somewhere. So instead, so I don't know.
Well, yeah, if you want to appreciate the goose, you should go hunting, because if you go into the store, it's about twice as much to buy one as a turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
Yeah. Regarding Big Dog's comments on a black swan anomaly from yesterday, Shane, will this bird be just molting for a while, or will it be grounded for a significant time? Big Dog, you're right more often than not. What do you think, my Canadian brother? I realize it's an all depends on question. What do you think, Shane?
Well, there's certain things now that we have to watch for that'll reverse the existing markers that caused me to make this statement. Mm-hmm. Of course, the deal with China will be important, but most important will be what's the content of the deal. Does Pelosi put the USMCA trade deal on the floor so it can be approved? And because that, it's stuck in Congress, it needs funding. So that before the Senate can approve it, the Congress has to fund it. Thirdly, it depends entirely on the news that comes out in the next news cycle about the Russia investigation. The reason that's important is that the effort by the media right now is to discredit everybody and to try and discredit the president, knowing all this is coming, because it's going to hit the country strong, and that could affect, confidence in the American people, in not just the government but the economy. That's what concerns me. That issue too.
Okay, let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. 522-8255. Caller, you're on the morning soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Good morning, gentlemen. This is Jerry.
Hey, Jerry.
Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning. I'd like to add something to the problem that was after Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. Let's not forget that the dock workers went on strike.
Oh, that's right. That's true.
And that was another reason that the relief efforts were all, botched and, bottled up and delayed. And one more thing, I'd like to say that, let's let beat on poor Chris. Let's not stomp on a guy who's down. Okay. We may not have, agreed with his, view on things, and but it's not good to beat on people when they're down. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call.
You bet.
All right. Let's see. Let's see, from our text line, if you don't need services, you can afford to, you can't afford to live in Bozeman. I guess if you don't need services, you can afford to live in Bozeman. So there you are. I got it right, I think.
No, I think you got it right.
Yeah, after a while. I don't know. Not a good day for me today, I don't think. Oh, let's see. What else is going on around here?
Well, you want to talk about the jobs announcement?
Oh, I do want to talk about that. Yeah. Let's see. Let me find that real quick. Okay. The Bureau of Labor Statistics apparently reported that the official payroll numbers 2018 and 19 were vastly overstated. It turns out the amount of new jobs created were tremendously inflated and had to be reduced downward by more than 500,000 jobs. This embarrassing admission raises questions as to the actual strength of the job market, the success of the Trump-initiated tax cuts, and how exactly these numbers are calculated. So I would say what's going on over at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Trump didn't put out the numbers; they go find them. So
that's right.
I mean, Well,
look. The bottom line is he's like 6.7 million jobs added. Okay, so it drops to 6.2.
Yeah, that's still a pretty good number.
Huge numbers.
Yeah.
And the expanding economy you have now, which is why salaries are going up, is there's more jobs and people to fill them. And it's nationwide. And you and I saw this 5-10 years ago when we talked about North Dakota. Right. And, when the Bakken came in, it was huge. There's nobody there. I mean, McDonald's was paying people $35 an hour to work there. I mean, we've seen this before.
Right.
So that was a microcosm of what he's done nationally. And with salaries increasing at a rate of over 3%, over 12 months, Tom, that's like 300%.
Yeah, that's
30. That's over. That's like 36% increase. That's huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the economy is highly dependent on individual spending. Obviously, it comprises over 70% of the economy, and most of the jobs in question were from retail and some of the lower income producing jobs. So
and seasonal jobs too.
And seasonal jobs, yeah. So corporations, the government, and individuals will make financial life critical decisions based on the numbers that are produced by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it also indicates the direction of the American economy. So.
Now, the other redress that they have to deal with, too, is they get all their numbers from the industries and companies and businesses that are asked or, I think actually required to file, the jobs that they've created, as well as people they've let go. So, they're depending on industry for the information. It's not like they go out and count people working.
Yeah. From our text line, we got a link from Scopes that disagrees. In September 2017, Truck Drivers Union in Puerto Rico went on strike and refused to take part in relief efforts after the series of hurricanes. That's false, according to Snopes, and whether or not you believe Snopes or not is, I know some people do, some people don't. But anyway, that's their take on that.
And we have a caller on the line because I can hear him.
We do. You're right. Let's go to the phones. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you on the air. What's going on?
This is the old guy.
Yeah.
Well,
good morning, good sir.
How are you this morning?
Oh, I'm better now. My computer woke up, so I'm feeling much better. Yeah.
So you're going to be smarter now. Is that it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's just it's one of those things because I got to watch Tom on Skype. So
if only, Clint.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I see that the county's budget's about $200 million. Am I right?
Yeah.
What a budget. That's huge. I mean, seriously, how many people live in your county?
We're going to have the commissioners in here tomorrow, Clint, at 8 o'clock.
My goodness.
Boy, I'll tell you, Scott McFarland and Don and Joe, and them guys are going to have to look at their whole card when it comes to election again. I'll tell you that.
Well,
anytime that you got a $200 million budget,
yeah,
okay, and it's going to cost us another $40 a year, city and county, okay, on your tax roll for a $200,000 home, of taxable value home.
Yeah.
Besides the school, the new high school, okay, and some other mill levies and some things, we're going to have so much money tied to our taxes that pretty soon we're going to have to give the place to the county.
Well, we may have to.
The only comment I have about that, Clint, you look at the numbers.
Yeah.
And these people are all elected on a plurality, okay?
Yeah.
Less than 50% of the registered voters. So you get less than 42% of the people voting. And,
I understand that.
And they're getting elected by, like by 28% of the electorate. So unless people go out and vote to make a change, the same people get elected.
You're absolutely right, Shane. Well, here's another thing that's really bad. These kids that are coming into the college, and they go down and register to vote, they're not even from here, yet they'll get to vote on the Law and Justice Center. They'll get to vote on anything that they want to vote on, and then they'll leave, and us taxpayers are stuck with the bill.
Yep.
That's the bad thing about this, and that's going to have to be changed. I don't know how the legislature is going to have to do something there, because it's not fair to the taxpayer at all. But I look, and then they want this new Law and Justice Center. My God, I can't see where the money's going to come from, and I sure as hell don't want to pay it myself. I don't think you do, Tom. That's a lot of money.
Well, it is, and I'm going to ask them tomorrow about your thoughts of with all these people moving out, don't they have room in there to keep the same one they have, or why the need to move and why the need for a new one?
Yeah, right. So, they don't need it all. That's got a huge gymnasium on it. Did you ever notice that?
Well, I know it used to be a school.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a Catholic school, wasn't it, I think?
Yep. Yeah, it sure was. Well, the thing is, before, how much money have they paid for a study so far? $250,000, $300,000, how much?
Well, I'm not sure. I know the city seems to spend money for consultants every time they turn around. I'm not sure about the county, but I'm sure they spent some money on consulting. So we'll find out tomorrow when they come in, and we'll talk about it.
Well, the smart thing for me, as far as I can see, what the county should do is wait before they ever bring up the Law and Justice Center to a vote. Wait and see. We can stand another 3 years, the way it is, and see how much space we're going to have after the city moves out of the Law and Justice Center into their new buildings on Ralph's.
Yeah.
We should wait before this is ever brought up, to see how much room. Now, according to a friend of mine, he said we'll have over 10,000 square feet of extra space.
Yeah. So I don't know how much they need for whatever they have, but
well, there's plenty of room there after everybody leaves for another courtroom and whatever.
Yeah.
That gymnasium, if you put it in levels, it would. Well, you could have to believe.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what. Is it renovation of an old building? Is that going to have to be replaced down the road, or is it is it better off to put up a new building with what you need for now and in the future? So it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation.
It was all built to earthquake standards in 1960, I believe.
Well, I know you remember several years ago they remodeled the whole place, and they were putting pile drivers in there and all that stuff. So I don't know. Again, I'll find out. I think Joe was still around when they were doing that. So if Joe comes in tomorrow, we can ask him about the whatever renovations were made to make the building safer, because I think at one time it was not deemed safe.
Well, I think that was all. I think that's all BS.
Well, it could be. I as I say, you and I were both here during that time.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you could take the building, and turn it into apartments and affordable housing.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
just a thought. Just a thought.
Yeah. Getting back on that, the cities come out and say 40 to 50 some thousand is a low income and people for affordable housing.
Yeah.
Well, you got to make $20 an hour. How many of the waitresses in town make $20 an hour?
Yeah.
How many of the servers and stuff that wait on the wealthier people?
Yeah. I guess it depends on where you work.
I don't know.
I don't know. Do you tip 10%?
I don't know.
Well, you should tip 15 to 20 at least.
I'm just making a point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think somebody better learn some mathematics. Is what I think. Anyway, I just wanted to say a $200 million budget.
Yeah.
And then cities. How much is the city budget? Way over 100.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it's going to happen on this whole thing. We're going to have another lien put on our property.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
For another 20 years or so.
That's what'll happen.
Yep, and that's not right. It's just not right. And I hope somebody else will chime in, too, besides me.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call.
You betcha. Bye.
Have a great weekend.
All right. We'll be right back with more right after this. Someday, Shane, I'll have to tell you how much I hate the mouse on this computer. That
I know. I can tell when I watch it. It's just it's crazy.
Move it.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
Moving it around and the thing's going where you don't want it to go. And I'm trying to play some music and it's going, no, I don't want to play the weather. I want to play the music.
That's right. Exactly.
I don't know what's going on. Oh, I'm having a tough Thursday today, Shane, so bear with us. Also, our app is acting up as well. It's also going on over to XL Country. We're not sure what's going on with our bandwidth or whatever, but anyway, our app is repeating and dead air for short periods of time and whatever. So we're trying our best to get that resolved for those of you who are listening out there on the streaming side. So we apologize, and we've got the everybody's working on as hard as they can, as far as I know, to find out where the snafu is, or where the loose nut is, or whatever, loose wire, whatever we got to find there. So we'll hopefully find that.
Well, hopefully it's not another computer bug. Ooh.
Well, no, we can't have that. So that was that was kind of a disaster we all lived through. Oh, let's see. From our text line, dock workers didn't strike in Puerto Rico. Teamsters Link also said they didn't strike. Fake news from alt-right wackos. So there you go. Let's see. Bottom line is every place in this town is looking for help, and we can't fill the jobs. That tells me we have a strong economy. There are help wanted signs virtually everywhere across town. So,
yes.
And they may not be the job you want, but, what can I say?
Well, before when there were no jobs, people would take them.
Well, that's true.
The bottom line is that, the value that you place on the work you do is very important.
Yeah. Well, and particularly now, if you want to work, certainly the kids are back, but they're checking into the dorms and everything, and they haven't gone out in the workforce yet looking for the part-time jobs and things. So if you want to get in on the ground floor, now's the time to do it, I would think.
Yeah, and even your president is saying to people, now you have the opportunity to find a job you want. And as I say, do you choose to live to work or work to live? If you live to work, then you're happy every day. You get up and looking forward to go to work. Mm-hmm. If you work to live, to pay the bills, you work for the man, and you're not quite as happy. So
yeah, that's true. So, well, I don't know. Our city, we're going through growing pains for sure.
Yeah, that's what you call this, growing pains.
That's growing pains. That's what we're going through. Exactly right. Because we've got the, if people can't live here or afford to live here, then the problem is, what are you going to do for a police force or nurses or other folks, wait staff? We've already seen Perkins close, Perkins restaurant close. They couldn't find people, tips or not. And waiters and waitresses now in Montana under law are paid the minimum wage. They're not underpaid like they used to be. Where you could pay a waiter or waitress $2-3 an hour, and they would make up the minimum wage in tips. But they stopped doing that, so now they're making $8.10 or $8.20, whatever our minimum wage is at the moment, plus tips. So they could be making $15 an hour easily if they're working in the right place. Mm-hmm. If they're working in a higher end restaurant or a family dining or somewhere like that, they could certainly, they could get into the $15-20 an hour range, and that's somewhat close to a livable wage here. It's the bottom spectrum, I would say, of a livable wage here, but.
Well, that's right. And tipping people in the service industry is pretty well relegated to North America. Most places you go in the world, Australia, Europe, South America, people don't tip.
Yeah, they don't. Well, it's an insult. A lot of people think it's an insult. in some countries if you tip.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that what service wasn't good enough, you have to pay me more or something, or I don't know.
That's right.
I don't know how they figure.
If you go to a restaurant in Romania and have dinner and don't burp after it, that's an insult.
Okay. Oh, good. I'll certainly remember that.
Gotta remember that.
Gotta
Put that on your travel list.
Gotta let out a big one. I gotta say the
big burp. Yes,
gotta say the alphabet. I gotta say the alphabet when I do it. A, B, C,
D. Or ask a question.
Well, good news. Officials from Park County and the Montana Department of Environmental Quality said tests showed the bloom near the 9th Street Bridge was not any sort of toxic algae. The finding comes after officials put up signs warning the public to avoid the algae. Those signs have been taken down, and it turned out to be normal green. I can't even pronounce that. Some kind of algae. So, first reported in the county about 10 days ago, health officials reached out to the state toxologist to figure out what to do. They responded by putting up signs warning people the algae could be toxic and taking samples to test it for toxin. Turns out it's all fine. So there you go. You can touch all the algae you want over there by the river. So take it, go for it. Yeah, the Yellowstone is safe once again. Well, another downtown fine dining restaurant has closed. Bissell, I guess, has been open in the space 3.5 years, and the co-owners ran a successful catering business for 2 years before that, citing an unpredictable customer base and high overhead. Said the things haven't been working out for the farm to table eatery. And it's really hard to own a restaurant in this town. And I would agree, you know as well as I do, Shane, that the restaurant business is a very tough business.
That's right. And you know, you try to create what's called in the industry a captive audience. Mm-hmm. And, you know, theirs was quite unique because it was fresh, organic food from their farm.
Right.
And it was, you know, it was a great look for people to have. Mm-hmm. I think the difficulty for that type of marketing is there aren't as many vegetarians as there are carnivorous people like me and you. Yeah. So, you know, that probably, pushed away a lot of people to come in thinking, you know, this is going to be organic food. And, you know, I want a steak or a burger or stew or something.
Yeah. I want something with lots of salt and calories and
protein, baby. Yeah, I want that protein.
Plenty of carbs too. I want a lot of carbs.
Lots of carbs.
Yeah, put a donut in my
exactly.
in my hot dog or whatever.
Roll my dessert in sugar.
In sugar and chocolate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, other businesses across downtown and the rest of Bozeman have struggled with rents going up as property values rise. And that's the other thing that we were talking about with Jeff Krause weeks ago when the property assessment came out. And that businesses are not immune from that either. So they've got to pass that higher rent on to the businesses. So
that's right.
We may see more of this as time goes on. So I don't know. It's going to be hard down there. It's hard for a lot of these businesses are going to have a tough time making it in downtown Bozeman.
That's right. I mean, the three principal costs, as we know, is the cost of the occupation of the building, the cost of labor, and then, you know, the cost of the product that you purchase. And any of those go out of whack and you don't raise your prices, you got a problem, you know?
Yeah. That we do.
Indeed.
All right, bottom of the hour, open lines all day today. So anything that's on your mind, give us a call, 522-TALK, 522-8255. Next week, we're going to be giving away some football tickets, so you'll want to get in on that deal. We're going to give them away two ways. One is we're going to give them away, as we normally do, to a certain number of callers. But the other way we're going to give them away is with App Chat. You are going to send us an App Chat and with your name and email so that we can contact you back. So we'll give away 2 tickets on each. next week for the game on the 7th, be the opening game. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming up on Tuesday. We'll be right back right after this. 25 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Thursday, August 29, 2019, 58 degrees outside. Shane and Tom on the line. Tom Eagle, your morning mayor, and this is the KMMS Morning Soapbox. Phones are ringing, Shane. So, hey, let's take some calls and see what listeners are thinking about. Caller, you are not on the Morning Soapbox. All right. Well, let's try that again, maybe.
All right.
Maybe answered too soon. I don't know. It's one of those days. It's not working, Shane. It seems to be working here. So give me a call back. All right, let's try this again. Calling you on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Good morning. This is Charity.
Hi, Charity.
Good morning, Charity.
Hi. I was just calling to applaud a few people this morning.
All right.
So I had just heard from my mother yesterday that she had been parked on Beale Street while she went to work downtown, and when she came back to her car in the evening, there was a young man who had somehow torn the bumper off her vehicle, the front bumper, with his vehicle as he attempted to park in front of her. And anyway, he was very ashamed of himself, and he was on the phone calling the police on his own without anybody asking him to. And anyway, I just wanted to applaud him for being honest and for showing integrity, because there's not that many. I've heard so many times, I've been sideswiped in a parking lot and no one's ever left me a note or stuck around to, tell me what they've done. And anyway, I just thought that was awesome. And anyway, then also some weeks back, my daughter was rear-ended in traffic on 19th Street, and the young man that hit her had done a lot of things wrong, but he did stick around to face the music. And I thought, that was a thought in my head. He's a migrant worker from Mexico, expired license, driving a farm truck from a farm out of Butte. He borrowed it without asking. And, of course, the farm truck is uninsured.
Of course.
And he was looking at Google Maps, trying to find his way through Bozeman when he hit my daughter. And so that's a lot of things done all wrong, but he didn't flee the scene. And I thought that was awesome because he had a lot of reasons.
He had a lot of reasons to go, didn't he?
Yes. Anyway, so I thought, there's two young men in the same month that I've heard of that have, made some mistakes, but they stood to face the music, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Well, we hear so much bad about people lately that it's good to hear.
That's why I called.
I think the majority of us are good people. We just, bad things happen to us. Even bad things happen to good people, as they say. But
well, we all make mistakes.
Absolutely.
And how we deal with those mistakes defines our character.
Yep. Exactly right.
Anyway, and then also concerning jobs, you were talking about jobs in Bozeman. Some weeks back, I met a young man that's working at Walmart, and engaged him in conversation and found out that he was from Iowa, I think, near Des Moines area. And he had told me that he couldn't find work, or that it was very difficult to find work where he was from. And I don't know how it came to be, but he came to be on staff at the athletic department at MSU. And yet he still found it necessary to get a second job and work at Walmart. And he had just expressed to me just how thankful that he was that he was able to have two jobs. And that, I just thought that was really cool from him as well, that he had a thankful heart and that he wasn't complaining about whatever wages he was making or that he found it necessary to have two jobs. He was just thankful that he could.
Yeah.
And anyway, I just thought that spoke to his character also.
Yeah.
that you don't often see or hear people talking in this manner, because we all feel entitled and we all want more than life offers us sometimes, and he was just thankful for what he had, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for the call. Yeah.
Yep, you have a good day.
Brighten our day. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Gertie. Have a nice weekend.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Well, I think it's important for everyone to know if the vast majority of people in our countries weren't of good heart, we'd have anarchy. So that's the bottom line, right?
Well, I think we would, yeah.
Yeah.
Fortunately that the freedoms that we have, I think, offer us the ability to walk through our daily lives without fear of, we're going to be asked for our papers, or we're going to be, wrongly accused of something, and proving our innocence is up to us, not the other way around. So it's interesting to see how that works out. So let's see. From our text line, if the DNA between Keith Richards and RGB was commingled, the baby produced would be so ugly it would need to be breastfed through a straw. There you go.
Ooh, there you
So
go.
that would be not good. So as I've said before, Keith Richards has no reason to be alive at all. I don't know how he's lasted this long. So, well, over in Livingston, Shane, the commissioners are moving forward with the creation of a new ordinance that would give Park County authority to regulate and control and prohibit community decay. So I guess if you got a decaying house, they're going to tell you got to paint it or side it or do whatever you have to do with it. So I guess what the design police or the big brothers watching you over in Livingston, I don't know. Yeah, the Park County Commission voted unanimously Tuesday to instruct staff to move forward with the process of creating a community decay ordinance. And the Park County Planning Board, which serves in an advisory capacity, has already developed a 4-page draft of community decay regulations. So they'll be reviewed by the Park County Attorney's Office, and a proposed new community decay ordinance is expected to go before commissioners for consideration in the coming weeks. So we'll have to ask Jeff Krause about that. We'll have to put that on the Krause list, the Jeff list, if Bozeman needs a community decay ordinance or not. Are we getting too old here in some parts of town, or some of these houses on the north side of town? Do they need to be, revamped or redone or whatever? So I don't know.
Oh, but by the way, speaking about straws, remember when this whole issue came up? I guess it was over a year ago. Mm-hmm. And I said to you, now here's an opportunity for industry to replace the metal straws and start selling metal straws.
Yeah.
So, you can go check this out. It's incredible. 49 million results of people following and wanting to buy, which are now being offered by over a dozen companies, metal straws that you can buy in packages of 4. So you don't have to worry about the issue of straws anymore. I think that's pretty cool. There you go.
Well, I the first thing that pops into my mind with metal straws is, ew, how unsanitary can this be?
Oh, I don't know about that. You
got to go clean it out. You need a pipe pipe brush in there to get whatever out was in there. I mean, come on. I mean, you'd be sucking germs. Now, I like the one they came out with, what was it, bamboo or pasta straw, something like that.
Straw?
Yeah. Now, that one you can chew up and do whatever with later on. So
great example of capitalism adapting.
There you are. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Call you on the morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
This is Mark Ward. I used to live over in Livingston.
Yeah.
At one time. You know how bad some of those houses now are over there?
Mm-hmm.
Sneeze and you'd knock them over.
Well, there you are. See?
That's good.
Yeah, even the mobile home parks over there need to be revamped.
Wow. Okay. Well, thanks for the warning there. I guess they use metal straws over there, probably, huh?
No, they wouldn't know how.
Oh, I guess there you are.
Whoa.
That may be right. All right. Hey, thanks very much.
You bet.
All right. Appreciate it. Yeah, that would be a good idea, I guess. Maybe more than one city needs this, Shane.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we'll see. All right. Hey, don't forget our app chat. You can get that at KMMS AM 1450 KMMS on your smartphone app. And also, too, all of our shows are available. 1,400 downloads so far of our shows. And hey, if you'll scroll down and look on the right side of the show or of the podcast page, you can just click on the thing to have the podcast automatically sent to your phone or your computer or wherever. So, yeah, through Google Play or the Apple Store. So get that done. All right, we got to take a very short break, and we'll be right back right after these important words. So stay tuned. 12 minutes for the top of the hour. It is Thursday, August 29, 2019. We got a caller waiting on the phone, Shane, so let's go to the phones. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Caller, you're on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Well, I wanted to comment on two things.
Sure.
One, the Decay Ordinance in Livingston.
Yes.
It seems like a lot of people think that a lot of houses falling down. I think rather than that, it's just junk laying around.
Okay.
Not necessarily in town, but there's some ugly-looking dumps around the county.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the second thing, the restaurant that closed in Bozeman, it seems that it mentions a high-end restaurant.
Yeah.
Well, one of the problems with the high-end restaurant in downtown Bozeman is parking. If I take my little girl someplace to have a nice meal, and I got to walk 3 blocks to find a place to park, that kind of defeats the whole purpose.
I'd agree with you. We have a group of us that meet every Friday for just to solve the world problems and all of that. And we tend not to go to downtown restaurants. We will every once in a while. We will, but very rarely, because of that very thing. You can't park down there. So
you can't park down there. That's it. That's all I got to say. Have a good day.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it very much. From our text line, 478-8298, Decay, if a person didn't have to pay so much money for property taxes, they could use the money for home maintenance. Well, I guess I'd have to agree with that. What do you think, Shane?
That's a fair argument. You can't call it wrong.
Certainly seems fair to me that that would be your issue for sure. So
that's right.
I don't know, but I don't know. A decay ordinance might not be a bad idea for most cities to have, and I would agree that a lot of places it isn't so much the upkeep of the house as that. I don't know, maybe their carport's full of stuff, or, maybe they don't pick up after the dog in the yard, or any number of things, that aren't good, I should say. So, but I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it's sort of a tough thing. When you sit down at the end of the month and you're working out your budget for the month,
mm-hmm.
and, you're going through, rent or mortgage, and then food and fuel, and then other necessary supplies, and then all of a sudden at the bottom is I got to save for and then utilities and gas, water, electricity, telephone, TV, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you look at this, oh my gosh, I got to put $200 a month away, to pay $2,000 at the end of the year in property taxes. That's a hard smack in the head, right? That's
well, it can be, certainly. Yeah, it's you've got a budget. My life's been much better since I I created a budget in Excel, Microsoft Excel, and every month I go through and here's the expenses for the month, and here's what we make, and I can pay this much to this credit card or that much to that credit card or whatever it is, and I got mowing now that I don't have in the winter, so I've got to pay that. So, but. And I've got, a couple times a year, you got property taxes, and then, you've got your car license and things like that. Is another one. That you got to pop those in there. So yeah. Well, in other news, Republican Steve Daines of Montana says he's traveling to China next week to continue agricultural trade discussions. In 2017, Daines announced a tentative agreement with one of China's largest retailers to import $200 million of beef raised by members of the Montana Stock Growers Association. So that effort has been stalled amid the escalating trade dispute between the U.S. and China. But Daines said his trip is meant to bring Montana agriculture to the forefront of ongoing negotiations between the countries, and he'll be traveling with Republicans David Perdue of Georgia as well. And Daines' spokesperson said that Daines does support Donald Trump's effort to make better trade deals with an agreement needs to be reached soon. And Daines lived in China for more than 5 years and has visited 4 times while he's been in office. So he can, maybe living there for 5 years, he might be able to speak a little of the language. I don't know.
I would think so.
I haven't talked to him in a while about what he can or can't speak. Also, Montana environmental officials on Tuesday proposed approval of a major expansion of the state's largest coal mine after it was recently sold through a bankruptcy auction to a company controlled by the Navajo Nation. So the 72 million ton expansion of the Spring Creek mine near Decker will occur within the mine's existing permit boundary, and it will disturb about 1.5 square miles of additional land and extend the life of the mine for 4 years to approximately, they say 2031, but that's longer than 4 years. So
that's right. Yeah.
That's 14 years, I think, is what they're talking about. So, but anyway, Spring Creek in 2017 ranked as one of the as the 10th largest coal mine in the United States, producing almost 13 million tons of coal. So that will be a good deal to keep that in Montana and keep it within the Navajo Nation there, and that should be a good thing for Montana, I hope. So.
Yeah, and it's clean coal.
And it's clean coal, yeah.
That's right.
So the bankruptcy judge approved the sale, and two Wyoming mines owned by bankrupt Cloud Peak Energy. They transferred it to the Navajo Transitional Energy Company, a New Mexico coal-based company wholly owned by the Navajo Nation. So that'll be a good thing, I guess, for Montana to have that going on. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, and the big issue with this too is, and it's got to be mentioned, is that Warren Buffett guy in Burlington Northern. He's created a monopoly for himself, and what he does in hauling anything for anybody is he requires in the negotiations to know what their delivery price is, so he knows how much they're getting paid for their product. And so he knows how to to grind them, for instead of a standardized cost for shipping stuff, it's all based upon what they're getting paid for their product, and that's just not right. That's a monopoly.
Well, I would think so, but it's fair. If you got to haul it, and he's the guy. I'm assuming there's other haulers, but he's certainly one of the biggest with Burlington Northern and some of the others that he owns. So. Or has control of, I should say, from the stock and whatever he owns in it. So, Also, the state of Washington has canceled a series of wolf-related meetings, saying it fears they might be accompanied by violence. Violence from wolves? The wolves going to show up at the city hall there and protest with their signs and fangs out?
That's right.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife announced the cancellations at a wolf advisory group meeting on Tuesday. So I don't know what they're doing over there in Washington. But the department is planning for a time when wolves are no longer a protected species, and public input is necessary for that process. But the agency says it cannot assure the safety of the public or its staff if the meetings are held. So I guess a lot of pro-wolf people will show up. And
pro-wolf, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, the pro-wolves. And the return of wolves to the state from surrounding areas in 2008 has led to numerous conflicts between the animals and livestock producers, especially in northeastern Washington state. Agency officials told spokesman they alerted to see Facebook posts threatening violence. So I think we don't have to talk about wolves here. The ranchers and farmers here have had enough of the wolves they've been up to their neck in wolves and lost cattle and lost whatever. And yeah, I realize they do thin the herds of many animals, elk and all the other things that we have roaming around here. But they also take their toll of sheep and calves and everything else. So I think we could do without them, but on the pro-wolf side, they say, well, thinning the elk herd, they don't eat so much of the trees and things, and those are coming back, and rivers are changing, and all kinds of things. So they're a good thing for Montana. So, well, I don't know if you're a rancher or farmer, you may say, hey, I could do without the trees and more elk because I can shoot them. They're not endangered. So. Let's see from our text line. Any decay ordinance should be designed as a benefit to the public health and safety of occupants. Otherwise, it just turns the county or city into a big homeowners association. Well, that's a good point.
It is indeed, yeah.
Yes, it is. All right.
But it's not organized that way.
Not organized that way. All right. All right, we've got to take a break here at the top of the hour. So we've got Fox News coming up, of course, Montana State News and Brooke Foster Weather. And we'll be here for another full hour. So by all means, get your phone dialing finger out or your text finger out or your app chat finger out and give us a call. We'll be right back right after these important words. And Shane will have a caller on the line for you. So hang on to that. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. It is 6 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock, Thursday, August 29th, 2019. 60 degrees outside, looking for a high in the 80s today. Shane Taubman joins me, half man, half amazing, Vancouver, British Columbia. Tom Eagle off your morning mayor in the house. We got a caller waiting on the line, Shane, so let's take a call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Well, I've been properly screened by Shane.
Yeah, so I know. He vets all our callers, so yeah.
So anyway,
I guess you're worthy enough to be on the air because he didn't hang up on you.
Well, that coal that went bankrupt, that coal mine that went bankrupt for Cloud Peak, the coal is sold at mine mouth for a cheap price for taxation purposes.
Yeah.
And halfway across the ocean, it is sold to a consortium that resells it to the Chinese for a more than 5 times the price that it was paid at the mine mouth. And that coal is the cleanest coal in the world. It's a very valuable commodity, and it's very much in demand, and that demand will not cease anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, maybe Daines, while he's over there, can talk coal.
Well, I mean, they make it seem as though it's in distress. It's not. So that's the whole scam behind global warming, is to get us to not use coal while the rest of the world does use coal.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you there. That's the goal, is to get rid of fossil fuels, and coal will be one of those.
Over here,
fuels.
get rid of fossil fuels over here.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Because it's a taxation. It's a foreign aid program.
Well, certainly that's what Shane thinks.
Well, that's what I think too.
Well, there you are. So you're in agreement. What's not to like?
Well, I think it has to be said. The one thing about the Obama administration and what you've seen in your country during that period of time was the redistribution of wealth to China and the loss of of industry and jobs in the United States. So, when people talk about what Obama did, and in the future, they will write about this. The whole issue that Obama had, of course, was to redistribute wealth. And clearly, with the $1.5 billion that Biden, his vice president, got from China, it was clearly an intentional thing to, damage the U.S. economy and the Americans at the benefit of China, which is a very sad thing. That cost of the loss of those jobs in industry, which is 10 to 20,000 companies and over 4 million jobs. Basically cost $5 trillion to your economy. That's serious money.
I wonder if anybody at the debate, any of the 10 chosen lackeys, will bring up Biden's $1.5 billion.
No.
Tom says no.
No, they won't. They won't bring it up.
Well, Trump's just chopping at the bit to get that one out.
Yep. Well, I would save it for debates. And for 2020, when it's down to the last person, then we can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can point it out then, but I think he's holding. I think Trump is holding off on it because Biden's on the downhill slide.
Oh yeah, he's gone.
Well, that's his Trump card.
Yeah. Well, it is. Yeah, it is his Trump card. You're right.
So my scenario is, and I mentioned this last week. I'll just run through it real quick here. Bloomberg said he wouldn't run if Biden did a year ago because I thought Bloomberg would. And I think that Biden will be gone after the September debates and early November. I thought it might be December, but I think it'll be early November. And I think then the week of Thanksgiving, when the news media and everybody's gathering for Thanksgiving, Bloomberg will announce 2 or 3 days before Thanksgiving he's in the race so he can control the media, the news cycle, and right through Thanksgiving. Well, everybody's at home watching TV and listening to him on every newscast that he's the guy that's going to beat Trump. Man, possibilities.
Could be. Yeah.
Well, it's also a possibility that Michelle Obama will jump in.
Yeah. Well.
No, that'll never happen.
Yeah, I'd be amazed if she did, but.
Well, he might.
Yeah. Well, I thought Hillary would win too, but how wrong I was about that.
Yeah.
The big question is if Michelle Obama got in, would he be the first woman president?
Yeah, I know. I know you think that.
Okay.
I guess he would be. Yeah. Be confusing which restroom to use in the White House, huh? All right. Gotta go. Thanks for the call. All right. Our poll question yesterday, do you think Trump will be reelected in 2020? 84% said yes by a landslide, Shane. 7% or 9% rather said I'll vote for anyone but Trump. 4% were undecided, and 2.6% had other. And the answers were no, and he will be, but it will be close. And I think it will be close. I think if he is reelected, it will be a close race. I don't think it'll be a landslide.
Well, it depends obviously on who they pick.
That's true.
If I'm right, it'll be Bloomberg and Warren, and that'll be very interesting to see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. Bloomberg's got a ways to go. I mean, he's known in New York, but is he known in Kansas and Iowa and West Virginia and maybe, I don't know.
He will be if he spends $1 billion and he's got the money to spend. So.
Well, he does. Well, look at Tom Steyer. He couldn't make it on the debate stage, and he spent like $100,000 a day in Facebook ads. He got the donors. He was saying it cost me $60 to get a $1 donation. $60 in Facebook ads to get a $1 donation. So.
Yeah, well, when they Wikipedia him, they found out he was a guy that got rich on coal.
That's the other.
That's what blew him
the other
out.
thing. Yeah. But I think the next debate is really going to be the telling story. Well, the next two debates, because if you can still get 4 polls, you're still in the next debate. It doesn't stop with this one. The criteria is the same for both debates of the next 2, and then they'll get tougher, I guess. But I agree with a lot of people here. We had 17 Republicans that ran. They were all up there until they dropped out by attrition. They couldn't raise the money. They couldn't get the support they needed to keep going. And slowly but surely, they fell by the wayside. And Trump was the eventual last man standing. And I think they should have done the same thing with this group. You got 20 people there, so what? So you got to have debates over 2 nights, so what?
Yes.
We've already seen Gillibrand dropped out yesterday. 2 or 3 of the others have dropped out that had no chance anyway. And I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see more of that. And I think it should have been done naturally rather than by some nefarious, non-transparent ruling as to what polls are acceptable and which ones aren't.
Well, yeah, I mean, it just sounds like the Democratic process from 2016 all over again, right?
Yeah.
Rigged. It's rigged.
Yeah. Let's see from our text line. Warren, Biden, and Sanders are in a 3-way tie in the polls, each having about 20% of the early projected vote. The media says that they're kicking Trump's butt in the polls. How flawed is that? I'm talking about sample size, targeted pollsters, rejecting certain segments of the population, etc. Could you please describe some of the Democrats' tactics in giving this misguided information? And by the way, Tom, you were wrong about Hillary. Shane wasn't. Lollapalooza. Yeah, that's right. Shane was right, and I was wrong, and I've admitted it many times. I didn't think there was any way in God's green earth that Hillary could lose, and I'm sure it was a bigger surprise to her than it was to me.
That's right.
She thought, man, she was preparing her victory speech at Christmas.
Exactly.
The Christmas before the election.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
and it needs to be mentioned, that in September there's 2 debates.
Yeah.
If necessary, on the 12th and 13th. And then in October it hasn't been announced, but the date. But, and then there's another one in November, which has the date or it hasn't been. And there's another one in December. So
yeah, we've got a lot of them.
By the end of the year, you'll be down to 5 people probably.
I think so, at least by then, because these big donors are, they'll pump a little money into somebody they like, but if they're not performing, then that money's going to dry up and it's going to go somewhere else.
Well, the other thing too is that Democrats do not want an open convention.
No, they don't. No.
That would be horrific for them, right?
Yeah, that would be I don't know. I can't remember the last time we had one. You probably know.
68. No, 72. 72.
Yeah. Was it? Okay.
McCarthy.
Oh, I guess that's right. Yeah. Okay. But that would be the last thing that they want. Well, in the cases of the polls, one of the things about polls that, and I'm not sure how they're doing this, when everybody had a landline, that was a different story. But now they've got cell phones and everything else that, there's a variety of ways to reaching people and finding out what their thought is. One of the polls that predicted Trump would win asked the question, not who are you going to vote for, but who's your neighbor going to vote for? And the neighbor said, I got a neighbor with a Trump sign in his yard. So and that's where they found out the underlying people who wouldn't tell a pollster they're going to vote for Trump. But
yeah, and in 2000, I don't remember. Maybe you do, but 2016, it was either the San Francisco Examiner or the LA Times,
mm-hmm.
and their polls they always had Trump winning.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe, yeah.
And that was in California.
Yeah,
wow.
There you are. All right, we got to take a short break here. We'll be right back after these important words, so stay tuned. 20 minutes after the hour of 8 a.m. It's Thursday, August 29, 2019, 61 degrees outside, looking for a high in the 80s today. Remember, you can get weather anytime you want it at KMMSAM.com or on our app at AM 1450 KMMS. And from our text line, Trump has reportedly promised pardons to officials who break the law to build his border wall. What law would they be breaking if they're, they just don't go down there and build the wall if there's something against it. But, and Mexico will pay for it. Well, Mexico is paying for it, actually, right now, because there are various kinds of walls. And right now there's a wall of soldiers at the border that Mexico is paying for to stop these caravans from coming north, so that we can get a handle on the people who we've already got in. The children ripped from their mother's arms in cages, so we can get those folks before a judge and either sent packing or let in, one of the two. So
that's true.
So Mexico is footing the bill for a bunch of soldiers down there, and I would say that's a pretty good wall across the southern border if they're keeping folks from forming those 1,000-person caravans coming up here. So
as well as their southern border,
southern border too. Yeah. All right, from our text line, let's see. Michelle Obama to announce in June of 2020. Polls say she wins in a landslide. Well, I'm sorry.
Well, that's why I was saying at an open convention, because in an open convention, anybody
can run. Yeah.
Anybody could be nominated, from the floor. So,
sure. Yeah. Yep. Nope. That would be absolutely correct. And that's entirely possible. She may decide to do it. I don't know. But anyway.
Don't see it happening, buddy. I just don't see the American electorate electing her. Don't see it.
Well, they said it's kind of the same thing about Oprah Winfrey, that she would win in a walk, if she were there in place of Hillary. And she might have. I don't know.
Yeah, but remember, she said she wouldn't run unless she got, some kind of word from God. So apparently he told her not to, so she's not running.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. A lot can happen between now and
that's what's so great about
2020.
It,
and we are going to be right here, hopefully, making sure that we talk about it every day for the next 2.5 years, or 1.5 years, I guess, or however long it's going to be. We are coming up on November here pretty quickly. Yeah. Starting on when we'll be back after Labor Day. What is that? The 3rd, 2nd? Second. We're back on the 2nd, I guess, after Labor Day, and that'll start our 9th month here.
I know.
Yeah, pretty exciting.
Powerful, baby. Very
powerful, man. Powerful. Yeah. Let's take some phone calls. 522 Talk is the number. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Hey guys, it's
Kevin.
Well, I'm so bummed out that Governor Bullock's not in the race anymore.
I know. Well, he could make it by the next one.
I was really looking forward to him spreading, the love that he's given Montana to the nation.
I was going to say, I guess the Democratic committee won't accept the Montana Standard and the Missoula paper and the Billings Gazette, huh? And the Bozeman paper has 4 polls.
Kevin, here's the dirty secret. Okay, the dirty secret is he really wants to run against Daines, but that's $5 million.
Right.
So
he wanted to raise money in his profile.
Right. He wanted to raise his profile, and he wanted to raise the money to have that he could then go on and use to run against Daines. And his problem is he had no money. I would be absolutely surprised. He could, but I would be absolutely surprised if he announced to run for Senate.
like tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I think Daines will beat him too. But I think his chances would have been better if he went and got a sex change, and he could be the first transgender. You know what I mean?
Well,
that would have really pushed him up above Bernie and Warren. No, so you're talking about Michelle Obama. I think she might run, but I think it's going to be 2024 because I think they know Trump's going to get reelected. It's hard to beat an incumbent. Yeah. But then it'll be an open seat in 2024. And, I think Barack is eager to get back there and right some of the stuff that Trump has screwed with on his legacy.
I don't think so. After this investigation, all this stuff coming, it goes right to the White House. I mean, if they did what do you call it, Tom? Help me with the type of investigation the FBI was running. They would need presidential approval to do it, for the intelligence services to do, the type of investigation. I can't think of what it's called. But
Inspector General type?
No. The type, a foreign intervention, a CIA type of.
Oh, okay. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Anyway, the point is the type of investigation they were running had to have presidential approval. So when all that comes out on Michelle,
right? No, you're right. Yeah, I mean the buck stops with him, and he was in on it, not just knew about it. And Comey stuff is coming out today, right? Did you guys talk about that at all today?
Yeah, not really. We don't have anything to talk about yet, at least not that I've seen anyway.
For the last month, we've heard the Democrats saying no one's above the law. Trump can be charged after he's out of the White House. Well, so now can Obama. And so now can Clinton. So we'll see how all Bernstein's story's coming. That will not bode well for the Clintons. And
Tom, you might be right because Michelle and Barack just bought an oceanfront house in the vineyard, so they might be underwater in a few years. They might not. Well,
I don't think
their house might go underwater. So.
He's never been a guy that looked ahead. You know that, Kevin, right?
The biggest phony baloney.
There was he relied on a poll as to where he should live.
That's right.
He also stuck his head up yesterday or the day before, at a speech, and that was one of the first questions people asked. Well, if you believe in global warming, why'd you buy a $15 million home on Martha's Vineyard that'll be flooded out in like 10 years? Like, what's that all about?
Right, because it has nothing to do with global warming.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all a scam. We know it.
Well, this demonstrates he knows it too. So.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Unless he starts putting a levee up there somewhere.
Then he's going to build a wall.
He's got a wall up.
Well, Mexico will pay for it.
No, Tom, he'll let you in, I'm sure.
Yeah, no problem. I'll be down. Yeah, I'm going to spend my winters there.
That's right.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
All right, see ya.
All right, take it easy. Let's see. Scathing Inspector General report released Thursday said that fired FBI Director James Comey violated Bureau policies by drafting, leaking, and retaining memos documenting discussions with President Trump. For Comey, who has cultivated the image of the by-the-book and irreproachable leader since his termination in 2017, the review shined a harsh light on his decision-making in the final... where I lost my place here. In the final beleaguered weeks of his tenure at the head of the nation's top law enforcement agency. So we'll see if any charges are brought. I don't know.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting. There's no question about it.
Yeah, it will. His secret information, code name, and true identity of a confidential source, according to a court-ordered filing by the Justice Department earlier this year. Let's see. All the information is currently and properly classified. Horowitz first publicly confirmed last year that his office was investigating Comey for his handling of classified information related to the memo. So,
yeah, there you go.
All right. We got to take another break. Fox News, Montana State News, Brooke Foster, Gesundheit, MSU Bobcats, one of those silly podcast things, and Mark Levin. We'll be right back. 24 minutes for the top of the hour, Thursday, August 29, 2019, 61 degrees outside. Shane Matobin, half man, half amazing on the line. Tom Eagle up, your morning mayor. And we just had the report from the Inspector General that Comey, FBI Director James Comey, violated Bureau policies by drafting, leaking, and retaining memos documenting discussions with President Trump. Comey admitted to Congress in June of 2017 that after he was fired, he purposely leaked several memos through an intermediary to ensure that a special counsel would be appointed. The media firestorm that followed the leak proved a watershed moment that led to special counsel Robert Mueller's appointment, Shane. So,
wow. Well, your president's vindicated.
Well, maybe. We'll see.
It's just amazing, right? I don't know. It's wow. This is so interesting. It's just how this is all going to be dealt with in the media is going to be fantastic. I just can't believe it.
I know. Yeah. Well, there's a couple more reports that are coming out too. The McCabe thing. They're either going to decide to do something with him or not. Now, whether or not it says Comey violated FBI policies, but whether or not he did anything illegal is a whole nother thing. Is violating FBI policies? Is that just you're violating some policy? Like me not saying the 8 words I'm not supposed to say, or I mean that's a policy we have here.
Yeah, like legalese for does he get out of jail free card, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. That's the question. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Calling you on the air. What's going on?
Well, I don't know, Thomas. I'm not looking out the window, but I think it's sunny.
Okay. Well, looks sunny outside. I see shadows behind Michelle Wolf's head. So
right.
Yeah.
So I got two E things for you.
Okay.
The entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well. Because
you got a dial tone, Tom.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
And I don't know who to credit with this, but it seems, and I think it's San Francisco or L.A., one of them two cities, are hiring the homeless to clean up the city. So I think that was a pretty good deal by the homeless people.
Yeah.
You go in, trash the place, and then get $15 an hour to clean it up.
Why not? Yeah.
You're doing okay.
That certainly seems fair.
And the other E word is espionage.
Yeah.
It seems that the Chinese were going into these small communities and putting in, I don't even remember if it was broadband or 5G or what it was, for cost. And everybody thought that was cool. And then the Pentagon started digging into it, and it seems that all these small cities were next to our military bases.
Yeah.
You got to watch them guys all the time. I'm telling you, they're bad news. Somebody should have Trump read Sun Tzu, figure out how these people go to war, because that's what's going on. I think Trump would be happy not to have a deal with China. And I don't think he cares one way or another. I don't think there's a big enough effect on our economy. If total total trade of GDP is 14%, then you got to take everybody else out, leave China in there. I mean, I don't know how much of an effect they'd have on our GDP.
Well, it's hard to say. We do about $500 billion trade with them. They do about $100 billion with us. So it's sort of a drop in the bucket when you're talking about trillions of dollars.
Right.
But China needs us a lot more than we need them.
Amen to that.
I mean,
the thing is, Tom, is they were picked by the globalists to be the new big dog on the block. China wasn't. A lot of people picked them to be the next big dog on the block.
Mm-hmm.
And then this goes back decades. I mean, China would be nothing if it wasn't for what they got from us. And forget the stuff they stole.
Oh, yeah.
Just what was given to them.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree with that wholeheartedly. But Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, be happy to make the spatulas that are made in China.
Amen. Spatulas.
So, let me get this right. What you're suggesting is globalists got Obama elected because it would be easier for the world to accept an African-American black president as a globalist instead of an old white guy.
Well,
that's what you're saying, right?
No, I didn't say nothing about Obama.
No,
it goes
you didn't
back
listen to my
all the way to
question. You didn't listen to my, you said the globalists, because that's exactly what, Obama ended up being, a globalist.
Well, I think most of the people we have back in D.C. are globalists, or a whole pile of them. I'll tell you that.
Someone's responsible for the loss of 4 million jobs and the closing of 20,000 businesses in the last 10 years.
Well, yeah, but that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about gifts to China by previous administrations. It's a pretty good list when you stop and think. It wasn't just us; it was some of our allies that they got technology from. So, yeah, that's what I was talking about.
I know, but the whole argument that the media is using in the last 2 weeks is that the whole idea for Clinton to open up China to the WTO, the World Trading Organization, because they become more democratic. Well, they became more fascist instead.
Well, more communist.
No, they're not more communist. It's a fascist state.
Well, that's what Antifa claims to be anti-fascist, and maybe they are, but the reason they are is because they're pro-communist.
Well, they should be demonstrating the WTO then.
Absolutely. That's what I'm thinking.
Why not?
But yeah,
Antifa should be asking to go to China to demonstrate at the $1 million or million-person compound of Muslims they have.
I didn't hear that. The million what?
The Chinese have 1 million Muslims in
concentration
camps.
Yeah.
Right, and they're not happy.
What, the Muslims or the Chinese?
Well, they were unhappy till they learned how to use chopsticks. Now they're happy.
Oh no, they don't get chopsticks.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess those would be dangerous. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's a weapon. That's a bad weapon too.
Yeah.
That's nasty. Anyway, it'd be interesting to see if we hear anything in the news about the hooking these small communities up to broadband or whatever.
I guess so.
When it takes the Pentagon to figure that one out, that's pretty interesting, I thought. Where's the FBI in court?
Yeah. Gotta go, Pete. Hey, thanks for the call.
Take her easy.
All right, take it easy. Shay, we still got a caller waiting. I'll be right back right after these important words in 90 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. It's 14 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Thursday, August 29th, 2019. We got a caller waiting on the phone. Caller, you're on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Good morning, gentlemen. It's Steve.
Hey, Steve.
So after you told us about the the IG findings, I jumped on Fox and read about it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to read one paragraph and one sentence.
Okay.
Okay. Further, this is quoting directly from the Fox News story. Further, the IG determined that Comey kept copies of 4 memos in a personal safe at home after his removal as director, and in doing so also violated FBI policies and his FBI employment agreement by failing to notify the FBI that he had retained them or to seek authorization to retain them. And the IG said Comey again violated the rules by providing copies of the 4 memos he had kept in his home to 3 private attorneys without FBI authorization. Now, here's the kicker sentence. While the findings of the probe were forwarded to the DOJ, the department has declined prosecution. Now, I was talking with Shane just a moment ago, and Shane is of the opinion that that doesn't matter. There's bigger stuff coming, and that he'll be prosecuted on that. But see, me as an American...
Yeah? Yeah? Are you got? Did I lose you?
I just completely... I've sat here for years and years and years and years and years and years hearing about how corrupt Hillary... how corrupt. And we finally have a chance to pin a tail on a donkey, and the DOJ declines to prosecute.
Yeah. Well, so that's what we said for years. When is the Republican Party going to grow a spine?
But it's bigger than that. When is our government going to have some?
Well, that too.
Freaking accountability.
Yeah.
When are these people going to be held accountable? If I did this kind of stuff in my job, I'd be in jail.
Nobody's supposed to be above the law, but apparently they are.
Precisely. And this is yet another perfect example. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, he broke all kinds of rules, but we're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of hearing about it. My blood pressure's skyrocketing, and I'm just so freaking frustrated, guys.
I appreciate it.
For years and years and years.
Yep, it never seems to end, does it?
Something's going to happen, and it never does.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you can vent here. That should bring your blood pressure down a little bit. At least you can rail about it.
I do appreciate the outlet. You guys give me somewhere to scream.
All right. Anytime.
Well, we'll ask the law babe tomorrow. No, but we'll ask the law babe tomorrow that prosecutors want all the information before they indict someone, because you know it's going to be a basket of indictments against Comey. So don't worry.
But you would think,
just hold tight.
You would think
just hold tight.
IG. You would think that the Inspector General would have the ability to get all of that information.
Yeah.
And in relating to just these charges, they came out with a report.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that Comey can't be charged further when more information comes out.
True.
That's why I'm so frustrated. Oh, we'll just pass over the small stuff.
Yeah.
Well, screw you. The small stuff matters too. This guy lied.
No, they'll include that in the indictment. They will include it.
Well, they didn't pass over the small stuff with Flynn. They didn't pass over the small stuff with Petraeus or Petraeus.
Yeah,
rather.
but now you're talking politics.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
That was the left after the right.
Yeah.
Now the right doesn't go after the left, and so in lies my frustration. And Shane, I'm going to hold you to account. If I don't see Comey charged in the next 2 years with actual crimes, I'm knocking on your door, Shane.
There you are.
He'll be indicted within 90 days. You wait and see.
Okay. All right. 90 days from
today.
Have a great day, guys. All right. Hey, thanks for the call. All right. We appreciate it. We got to get the Rush update in here, so we'll be right back with more right after this. Here's Rush. 6 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Thursday, August 29th. It's 2019, and Shane has a point, or are you just pointing?
No, I have a point. I want to wish everybody in your country a wonderful Labor Day weekend and remind you that the Central Labor Union and the Knights of Labor organized the first parade in New York City in 1882. In 1887, Oregon was the first state to make it an official public holiday, and the U.S. government made it a federal holiday in 1894. And today, 30 states in the United States officially celebrate Labor Day. So everyone have a wonderful 3-day weekend. Hope the weather holds and you enjoy yourselves.
All right. Sounds good. From our text line, 478-8298, I don't think Comey will ever be indicted.
Wrong.
Okay. Let's see. Poppy Bush was ambassador to China before the Kennedy whack. He and his clan invented the fork. Before him, the Romans just used a spoon and a knife. Trump derangement syndrome, a condition where Trump worshipers believe Mexico is paying for the wall, China pays tariffs, and Trump tells the truth. James Comey was under attack from a corrupt regime, see the Mueller report, and leaked to save himself. Sad that honest men get fired and Trump, the liar, wins. Who says good guys finish last? And also from our text line, Tom, you're a wise and prudent man. I know this for a fact because you selected the big dog as your co-host. Why don't we trade a few 100,000 Democrats to Canada for Shane because he embodies the very meaning of patriot?
That's a very nice compliment.
That's a nice compliment to you. Comey's sin was protecting himself from a lying president. All right.
Oh, there you
go. I guess.
Obviously, they didn't watch any of his, comments before Senate and House committees.
Yeah.
Really?
Apparently not. Apparently not. Yeah. So, well, we'll see. But
yeah,
let's see our poll question of the day. Ooh, have you ever been in a tornado, Shane? Have you ever been in a tornado or hurricane?
Hurricane, yes. Tornado, no.
Really? What hurricane were you in?
Oh gosh, I don't remember the name of it. I was in the Caribbean.
Yeah. Well, no, thankfully, is 52% of the vote, yes, and it was Scary's 42% of the vote, and we've got 5% with other. So
there you go.
There that is. And again, I want to thank everybody. 1,403 downloads of our shows. That's 1,403 downloads, Shane. 1,403 downloads. And Mike McCormick put us over the top with 8 downloads yesterday, so that was pretty good. So,
that's good.
So we had a good time with Mike yesterday. If you missed any of our shows, hey, they're online, KMMSAM.com, or on your smartphone, AM 1450 KMMS. Get our app. And another reason you want to get our app is because next week we're going to give away football tickets. We're going to give them away every week for a few weeks. And we're going to give away 2 tickets by phone. You call in a certain number of callers. And the other way you're going to do it is app chat. Send us app chat from your smartphone. The app chat button is right next to the listen button. So if you listen to us online, get the app chat downloaded to your phone. And we'll have a drawing of the people who submit a request by the app chat. So we'll just do that.
That's right. Join the 21st century with Thomas, the great Eagle Man and Mayor of the Day.
That would be right. So let's see. From our text line, Comey, an honorable man, a Republican, is trashed by a serial liar because he did his job. Sad. Well, I guess the court will decide whether he did his job or not. So,
I'd like to remind everybody that Trump didn't investigate him.
That's true. Yeah. Yep, that was true. Trump said, hey, Mueller, go wherever you want to go, and we'll be fine. So, all right, we're coming up on the top of the hour here, and we want to thank everybody for being with us. And we won't be here on Monday, Labor Day. Shane and I are going to take the day off, and first day we've had off since we took over here. I think we worked Christmas, we worked Thanksgiving, we worked pretty much every day, I think, since then. So we're looking forward to a 3-day weekend along with the rest of you. So we hope that you'll have a good time. Be safe out there, certainly, and watch the temperatures. So we're going to be in the 80s, so watch the sunscreen and all that stuff, We're closer to the sun being a mile above sea level, so just remember that, that you're a mile closer to the sun than... it's only 92,999 million miles from the sun. So take care of yourself. Say goodbye, Shane.
Goodbye, Mayor. Goodbye, everyone. Be happy, be safe, and have a great weekend. Labor Day is a wonderful time to celebrate. God bless.
Well, we will be here tomorrow, of course, but don't forget that. All right, tomorrow, finally Friday. It's finally Friday. I'm so excited. We'll get through this week, and then we'll all take a nice 3-day weekend. So thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the text. Thanks for being supportive of the show, and we appreciate you very much. And we'll see everybody bright and early tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.